Tov. Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov. Okay. So, B'Sha'ah Tova, Umutzlachat. We're going to start the last perek of Kohelet, Be'ezrat Hashem, Perek Yud Bet. So, this perek is very different than all the perakim we have seen and we have learned before in Kohelet. Shlomo HaMelech becomes very, to a certain extent, graphic and poetic, and just more than factual. He's painting the fall down or the degradation of a man, the natural degradation of a person physically, and he makes it even a little bit dramatic in his form. So it's we're going to go, but as we're going to learn it, but it's his way of ending and summarizing everything he taught us until now. So this perek is more of a summary than a chapter that comes with a lot of different advices. Okay? So he says, Uzchor, Perek Yud Bet, Pasuk Aleph. Uzchor et borecha. You have to remember. Now the Vav of Uzchor is a Vav HaChibur. Is a Vav that connects this Perek to everything that was taught until now. Usually if it's a new Perek, if it's a new chapter, so you start something fresh. So the Vav here, Uzechor, and remember, or so remember, or depending, it's coming to tell us, and that's what the Chachamim are telling us. It's coming to tell us that now Shlomo HaMelech tells us, after everything I taught you, everything I shared with you during the 11 perakim. Therefore, you have to remember actively. Zechor is the present. When I tell you remember, I tell you Zechor. Okay? Here Shlomo HaMelech says you have to actively and all the time remember HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Borecha. Bimei Bechurotecha, especially when you are young and strong and energetic. And be able, obviously, to use that zikaron, to use that awareness, to use that conscience, that connection with Hashem, to be able to create and do and elevate and build up yourself, to get as close to Hashem and to the path of the Emet as possible. Ad asher yavou yemei hara, and try to do it before the days of sorrow come to you. Vehigi'u shanim asher tomar, and the years will come where you will say, Ani b'hem hefetz. I don't want this life. I'm tired. I don't want to live anymore. This is, I never signed up for that. Physically speaking. Now, Shlomo HaMelech here is telling us that your emunah and that developing and building and paving the path of the emet, the path of the midot, is not a path you can easily do or be rewarded when you are old. Because when you are old, the nature, and we will see that in the perek, the nature of man is not to be so ta'avatan, so desireful. As you get old, you have less and less desires, right? So even though at the end you won't have the same vice or the same Yetzer Hara because you get old, at that point, the fact that you're not doing something that you would do or you did when you're young is not because you did Teshuvah. It's just because physically you no longer have this core, the strength to do it. And what's the terrible thing, we will see, is that you're not going to get any rewards for it. So Shlomo HaMelech says, be careful that if you want the reward of Avodat Hashem and you want to feel like you built something, do it when you're young. Because when things settle down, even if you indirectly stop doing what you were doing, what you were wrong, that what you were when you were young, that wasn't so great, Hashem doesn't take that as a reward. Now, there's a beautiful midrash, okay? The midrash in Vaikra Rabbah. The midrash says that Rabbi. Okay, we know the Mishnah in Masechet Avot. It's a Mishnah or Braita, depending. Okay, it doesn't matter. But it's a Mishnah or a Braita that everybody hears at the time of a burial. Akavia ben Mahalalel Omer. Akavia, the son of Mahalalel, says, Istakel b'shlosha dvarim ve'en atava lidei avera. Look at three things, and you will always be protected from making an avera, from sinning. Da me'ayin bata, know from where you come from. Mitipa seruha, from a drop of spermatozoid that is disgusting. Ule'an ata holech, and where are you going to end up? Le'afar ima v'tolea, in the dirt, right? In afar, that has in it worms and bugs. Ve'lifnei mi ata atid litadin v'cheshbon, and who you're going to have to give, account and face judgment. זה מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Rabbi Akiva made a drasha on the teachings of Akavia ben Mahalalel. And he says, where did Akavia ben Mahalalel learn this yesod, this lesson? That if you want to be protected from doing averot, you have to, number one, know where you come from. Number two, where you end up. And number three, who you have to answer to at the end of time. He says, Rabbi Akiva, from this pasuk, from one pasuk, Akavia ben Mahalalel learned this yesod. Because he says, the pasuk says, Uzchor ed borecha, remember your borecha, your creator. So he says, in borecha, you have three words. You can have three different terminologies. Be'erecha, your be'er, your well, which is your brit milah, right? Your well is where your brit milah, and that's the tipa seruha, and that's where the brit is what holds the drop of the spermatozoid. Borcha, okay, zerima betolea, and the borecha can also be read borcha. So borcha is a pit. So you have the well that has in it liquid. You have a pit. Instead of borecha, you have borcha, your pit. And in a pit, it's dry, it's inside the earth, and it's full of bugs, and this is where a person ends. And borecha, and your God. Ze melech malchei hamlechim. Rabbi Akiva says, from this one pasuk, Akavia ben Mahalalel understood that if you understand what Zechor, if you accomplish Uzchor et Borecha, if you accomplish the Be'erecha, your well, the understanding of the importance of your well, and the concept of the pit, and the concept of the Creator, and Atabali de Avera, you will not fail and do a sin. A promise from Shlomo HaMelech, a promise from Akavia ben Mahalalel, a promise from Rabbi Akiva. Okay, and those are not just Rabbanim. Yeah, you understand? We have Shlomo HaMelech, Akavia ben Mahalalel, and Rabbi Akiva, three giants, right? That shined at their time, their wisdom in a tremendous way, that come and tell you three things. Adapt them, implement them in your thought process. Every time you think you're exposed to a certain avera, sit and think. Where do I come from? Where am I going? And who am I going to answer to after I did what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do now? Say, promise from them that the koach, the strength to find the chizuk, to step out of the net, of the trap of the avera, will be so strong that you will be able to get out. Good? So here, he's giving us, and he tells us, but be careful. Make sure you do this when you're young. Because when you get old, it doesn't work that way. And he continues. And now it's very poetic, okay? So he says that he identifies, or he starts expressing the Yemei Hara'ah, the bad days, the days of sorrow, the days of sadness, the days where, and what does that mean? These are the days a person knows that he becomes frail. He knows that that's it. You know, it's now he's going downwards. It's a question of time. The earth is waiting for him. He knows that he has Hashem Yishmor. He doesn't have what to look forward to. Yemei Hara'ah, the days of Ra'ah, the days of sorrow, the days of distress. And how does he categorize them? The days where a person says, "Any b'ayim hefetz," I have no desire. That there is also, and this we have to be careful. So that's obviously the simple chat, but there's also some Ba'alei Musar that want to say that when a person is depressed, when a person is sad, when the person goes around, even if he's young, and he says, "I don't like this life," and he doesn't see any pleasure of waking up in the morning, going, doing, fighting, exercising, creating. He's in bed, he's depressed, he doesn't want to do nothing. For him, Enli Hefetz, by any by Hefetz is the definition of his life. Such a person, okay, does not allow himself to even tap into life. We discussed it in the last shiur. Nachon? Says Shlomo HaMelech, what is the out? How can a person slowly get himself out of it? It's from the beginning of the pasuk. Zechor et Borecha. If a person, even when a person is depressed, but if slowly he thinks of where he come from, where he's going, where he's going to have to give an accounting to and answer to. Chachmei HaMusar say that this triggers, if you will, it turns on the neshama, and the neshama starts, boiling and starts becoming more felt in the person, and it helps tremendously a person go from darkness into awe. Okay? But this ability to tap into that strength is an ability you develop when you're young. Because when you're old, that ability has no longer any real purpose. Because you're not fighting anything. It's natural for you to not desire. So that work that the person is doing does not have the emotional and psychological impact it has on a younger person.
Rav?
Yeah.
I remember reading somewhere in one of the parashiyot that there was a blessing, and I forget who it comes from and who it was given to, but there was a blessing that Hashem should bless you with bringing you closer without inflicting pain on you. Because I know that, there are concepts that Hashem inflicts pain on us only to bring us closer.
Yes, Isurim. Yeah.
Right. But I remember seeing that blessing somewhere in the Torah, and I forget where. And is there any idea behind if you're young and if you're not doing you're not on the right path and you're doing sins, and what would make Hashem inflict pain on you versus just bringing him closer to you in a more pleasant way?
I didn't understand the question, Mechila. I understand what you're saying is in Parashat Kitavo, and it's also addressed a little bit in Parashat Bechukotah, where the Berachot and the Kelalot are. Baruch atah bevorecha, Baruch atah b'tzetecha, Baruch tanecha mishatecha. That's where the Torah says HaKadosh Baruch Hu embraces you and brings you closer to him through beracha.
Right.
Versus through the pain of umkalelcha or v'kule.
Right. So I guess it's just reminding me of that, where it's telling you to be on the right path when you're young here. That's what it's saying here. But if you don't, I guess my question is what would make Hashem either inflict pain on you to bring you closer or to bring you closer through beracha? What would make Hashem choose either one of those?
What triggers the direction?
Yes.
It's a lot. There's too many factors to give this a simple answer. It depends on it depends on a lot of factors on the person, where the person is standing at that point, what he's done in his past, his level of emunah. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not afflict pain unless it's necessary. Mm-hmm. So when there is when HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to bring somebody closer and it's through pain, it's because he tried through beracha, but the guy didn't understand it.
I understand. So beracha is first option.
Absolutely, all the time.
Okay, so that answers my question clearly.
Thank you. It's like you take a child. You want to teach him something. Okay, he does something. You say the first time nicely. This is not the way to behave. This is not, at one point you say it, you're very firm, and so at one point sometimes you have to give him a tap in the tuches. Okay, and the baby starts crying. Why did you do that to me? What do you mean? I spoke to you like 20 times. You just 10 times. You don't listen. What do you want me to tell? So when I'm nice, you didn't listen. Now you listen. You understand? The same thing is with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We cannot take Hashem's beracha as a weakness. Even when we have beracha, Hashem is talking to us. Even when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a beracha, we need to ask ourselves why. We need to make sure that this beracha is not just he's doing what I want, but he's giving me something I can learn from, or I should question myself with, in order to understand what he wants. Many years ago, I think in 2008, during the readjustment, okay, of the economy, I was in New York giving some shiurim, and I used to arrive on Sunday morning, do Kabbalat Kahal, see people all day long, and then Thursday night leave. So every 7 minutes from 10 a.m. until I finished that day, every 7 minutes there was somebody come in the room. Okay? And a lot of people at that time told me, Rabbi, why did Hashem do this? Why did Hashem do this? I give tzedakah, I'm such a good person, I'm such a good person. Nobody understood why Kadosh Baruch Hu did what he did. And I used to usually, on Wednesday evening, I used to give a shiur before continuing to see the people that night. So I had something in mind when I came from Israel, but after I've heard so many of those comments, I said I need to address this problem. So I said, everybody's asking, why did Hashem take this away? Did anybody ask themselves, why did Hashem give it to me in the first place? No. Huh? When you get it, you don't ask yourself. It's normal. What do you mean? This is what I want. Hashem listens to what I have to say. So everybody asks when it's taken away, but nobody asks when it's given. Going back to what you're saying. The nisayon, the test, is not only when it's difficult, but the nisayon, the test starts when it's easy.
All the more so the reason to start when you're young, right?
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. So, but if a person asks himself when he's getting something, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu give it to me? Do I really deserve it? Is it really a beracha? Who knows? Maybe it's not. Who knows? I don't know. Is it really a beracha? And if it's a beracha, for what purpose? Then for sure, your ability to take, if Chas v'Shalom it comes a time of difficulty, it will be much easier. But when you get things and you think you're entitled to it, and you think that it's obvious, what do you mean? I asked, he gave me. That's when it becomes dangerous.
Very good.
Okay. Pasuk Bet. So, the Zechor et Borecha, the remembering of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, okay, has to be done when you're young and not when you are in the days of sadness, the days of old age, the days where you have no more desire to live. And now Shlomo Melech is going to break that down. What does that mean? The days where you have no desire. Before the sun goes down, right, and the light goes dark, meaning before the person becomes exposed to the collateral damages of sicknesses. When the shemesh goes down, is when you don't have the same vitality in your body. והירח והכוכבים, when the moon, which is here representing the binah, the intellectual strength, והכוכבים, which are the chushim, the senses, get they get weaker. They are covered by Veshavu Avim Achar Hagashem, and the ananim, the clouds, come and cloud those kochot. So the sun goes down. The light is no longer, there's no longer such clarity. The mind doesn't work as nicely. The senses are no longer so accurate. And this is when a person gets slowly gets older. It's, I find it very dramatic the way he presents it, but okay. Bayom, in the day, sheyazu'u shomerei habayit. The days where the hands tremble where you're holding is no longer a holding. When your hands, the shomrei habayit, the protectors of the house, when a person needs to protect himself, he protects himself with his hands. When the hands are no longer protective, when the person does not have any more strength with his arms. והתעוותו אנשי חיל. When the legs, the knees get crooked. When the knees get crooked, the knees do not have any more the strength also to keep the body standing. Ubatlu atohanot, when the grinding forces, which are the teeth, are no longer there. Kimi'etu, because the person lost most of it. Vehashichu haruot ba'arubot, and when the clarity or the ability to look out from the windows are no longer here, meaning when the eyes get affected. Shlomo HaMelech is basically, at least until now, focusing on the physical deterioration of the body. And he's saying that when a person loses physical strength, whether it's in his arms, in his legs, his teeth, his sight, and he continues, וסוגרו דלתיים בשוק, בשפל כל התחנה. He says when a person closes delatayim, his doors of the shuk, or in the shuk, and he refers to his lips. Bishfal kol atahana, because his throat, his ability to speak is no longer something accurate because he's missing the tahana, he's missing the teeth. ויקום לכל הציפור, and he will cook. And now, because he doesn't eat so much, because he doesn't speak so much, so his ability to sleep comfortably disappears. When a person goes to sleep hungry, he cannot sleep well. And when a person eats, he sleeps well. Here Shlomo HaMelech says, because of the degradation, his ability to feel physically satisfied is no longer a reality. So he starts waking up at the time that the birds sing, which is very early. He doesn't sleep anymore. וישחו כל בנות העיר, and the daughters of כל בנות השיר, the daughters of the song, which are the vocal cords, ישחו becomes now shach. Shach is very low, are no longer bringing out the proper voice. עד כאן, for now. Shlomo HaMelech is taking something and he's defining what is the Yemei Hara'ah. Correct? Hello? Good? But what he's really telling us is everything we take for granted when we are young. Here Shlomo HaMelech is not trying to give us, it's Shlomo HaMelech, right? So does he need to tell us what an old person looks like? Does he have to write all these pesukim to tell us that when an old person becomes frail, loses his teeth? It's, everybody knows that. A 3-year-old knows how an old person looks. But what Shlomo HaMelech is doing right now, he's going layer in the body of all the kochot we don't even think about and we take for granted when we're young. Says Shlomo HaMelech, if you understand the value of the sight, if you understand the koach of the arms, imagine lo alenu, you cannot take a tennis racket and hit now because the hand is shaky and you cannot hit the racket anymore, chas v'shalom, right? How depressing it would be. If you play golf, you cannot swing anymore. Or you want to stand, you go to an event and you need to stand under chuppah for an hour, and chas v'chalila, the person needs a chair because he has to sit. Here Shlomo HaMelech says, you want to be zocher, you want to remember you're Akadosh Baruch Hu, you want to implement this first message, this first lesson I'm giving you in that perek, right? Like Rabbi Akiva took and explained in the Mishnah of Akavia ben Mahalalel. He says, break down the kochot that has been given to you that you never thought or would never think today could be taken away. The teeth, vocal cord. How many people think and thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the vocal cords that they have? Who thinks about it? The hand, the kochot of the hand, the kochot of the legs. But he's going to go on. The lips, the ability to eat, to chew, to go to sleep at night with enough food to feel satisfied so that you can sleep properly. I mean, it's Shlomo HaMelech is empowering us emotionally and in forcing our awareness in order to recognize the berachot and the kochot that have been given to us that will be taken away in our life, and we're going to be seeing it and witnessing it.
Is this where the Rabbanim get Birkot HaShachar from?
Well, Birkot HaShachar, absolutely. I mean, that's not where it's getting it from. But Vadai, that it's based on all this, yes. But here, you have to understand, Shlomo is doing something very, very important. Because who is he talking to? There's an echo. Uschoret borecha. Right? When he's talking to somebody that has the ability to get old, that he's young. Right? Who is he talking to? He's not talking to an old man, because if he's talking to an old man, what is he telling him? Sorry, you missed the boat. Right? So he's obviously talking to somebody young, or at least somebody that's young in his head, but somebody young. So he's telling us, this is what to expect, because these are the days that are coming for every physical individual, every human being. If he gets old, this is what's going to happen, right? So start recognizing how ephemer, how limited in time those kochot are given to you, and recognize the value of this power to do the right thing with it. Now it's no longer just a spiritual thing or an emotional thing or social thing, right? It's between you and yourself. פסוק ה'. פסוק ה'. גם מגבוה יראו באחד חטאים בדרך. This guy's with tefillin behind you. Is it the time?
I have to run.
It's okay.
We
It's
have a
okay.
few minutes.
I'm 5 minutes away. But I'll catch up. You could do it, and I'll catch up.
No, it's okay.
Thank you, Rob.
Because now he just finished. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Right now he's going into a new issue, which is an issue. I guess which okay. Let's keep it okay. So what do we learn?
Thank you.
We finish it in 1 minute. What do we learn? We see how we have to appreciate the kochot haguf and not take it for granted. This is what allows us to implement the first yesod of the perek, which is the ability to recognize the be'er, the bor, and the boreh. טוב. שבוע טוב ומזל טוב.
Shavua
Shavua tov. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Shavua tov.
Love you
Later,
guys.
Andy. All the best.